Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day. It's Monday and I hope everyone had a great weekend and you're looking forward to an awesome week. We're going to start off by talking about serenity. That's how we're going to start the week. Being in a state of calmness, peacefulness, being in a state where you are at ease. The psalmist David reached a point in his life where he realized that he needed to be in such a place. So in Psalm 23, he wrote these words. He said, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters." So I want to talk about still waters. That's where the sheep gets replenished. That's where the sheep gets refueled. And as people, as individuals, we hit those spots in life where we need a bit of refueling. We need a bit of replenishing. And one of the things that we sometimes ignore are the signs when we're getting burnt out, when we're reaching the point where we're about to hit E. It's like driving a car, and most people have the luxury of owning an automobile. But one thing that comes with that luxury, we have to make sure that we're monitoring and maintaining the fuel level. If you're driving, you have to keep an eye on the fuel gauge to see if you are at a half a tank, if you're about to hit a quarter tank, or how close you are to E, how close you are to empty. And you have to be responsible as an individual to make sure you stop and get fueled up. Keyword, stop. We want to get fuel on the go, but we have to stop, pause, and get refueled. If we want to make it to our destination, we have to get refueled. We cannot make it to our goals, our dreams, our destiny on E. It's not possible. You'll be on the side of the road with a thumb up, waiting and asking for someone to help you. You'll have to call roadside assistant because you failed to be responsible enough to stop and get refueled. We have to make sure that we have enough fuel. And the fuel I'm talking about today is that passion, that zeal to ensure that you're keeping on the path to pursuing your purpose, your dreams, your goal, your destiny. If you run out of passion, then you'll feel like life has no meaning. You'll feel like giving up. You'll feel like you just want to throw in the towel and call it a day. But when your passion is high, when you're fueled up, you feel like you're unconquerable. You feel like you're unstoppable. You feel like there's no force that can prevent you from getting where you want to go. The truth is, in our world today, there's so much going on around us. If we watch the news, there's always some kind of chaos, some kind of conflict, and it weighs on you. If you're not careful, it will drain you. Just by watching the news, the amount of stress that is induced by seeing the crime rate, by seeing the poverty, by seeing the unfairness, by seeing the negativity that's taking place around us, it will drain you. We also find ourselves stressed out because we are around people who pull from us. They sap us of our energy. They drain us of our drive. Sometimes it's the job. You have so much that you have to deal with. You have so much that you have to put up with. It could be ministry, working with people in general can be stressful. It could be with school, trying to get to that next level, where you're trying to get the passing grade, you're trying to study, you're trying to stay focused, and it's draining you. Just the stress, just the thought of possibly failing after you spend all this money, after you're in so much student loan debt, and to fail, it's stressful. It could be family, where they're always pulling on you. You have to be the mediator. You're the go-to person for everything. Seems like they have no one else they can reach out to, but you are the person that everything is falling on. And if you're not careful, with everything combined, it will begin to weigh you down. One of the things we have to be mindful of, that the more cargo you carry, the more fuel you use. If you ever have the opportunity to talk with some of these people who are truck drivers or drive this heavy duty vehicle, they have to fuel up more often because the weight of what they're carrying depletes the fuel much faster. And the weight of what you're carrying around, it's causing you to become drained much faster. You find yourself where you're fatigued, you have no energy, you have no drive. It's simply because you're drained. David had reached this place in life where he needed a place of peace, a place of solace, a place of serenity, where he just needed to rest and get replenished, get refueled. He had taken such a beating from life, running from Saul, running in the wilderness, hiding in caves, that he said, God, I need a place of calmness, a place where I can feel revived and replenished. We know that we have limits, and we have to be true to ourselves, where we've exhausted all our resources, we've exhausted all our energy, and we need divine help. David reflected on his life as a shepherd, taking care of sheep, and remembering the moments where he had to find still waters, where he could lead the sheep so they could get replenished. David's experience with sheep gave him insight into his own vulnerabilities, where he looked back on his days when he was a shepherd and he had to lead those sheep beside still waters, finding himself in a place where he now needed that still water. He concluded that as he was a shepherd and he led the sheep to still water, that he needed God to be his shepherd to lead him to still water. One thing about sheep, and David understanding the relationship between the shepherd and the sheep are very vulnerable creatures. They're helpless against predators. Sheep don't have the tendency to fight back when they're in trouble. They don't try to get away. They don't try to flee because they're so vulnerable. The need for them to drink from still waters is very important because moving waters pose a threat to them. They can get pulled in, and by them being pulled into the moving water, by them being startled, they're easily startled. And once they're pulled in, their coats get wet and it gets very heavy because it absorbs the water rapidly. Not only that, they could drown in seconds. Sheep are not great swimmers. They fear moving water, and sometimes they won't drink from a stream or a lake unless the water is still, because they're so restless when things are not peaceful. And there are times when you have to look at yourself and ask yourself, are you over your head? Are you over your limits? Are you losing control of being in a state where you're at peace? You find yourself getting angry too quickly. You find yourself getting overwhelmed too quickly. You find yourself yelling sometimes and getting agitated sometimes. And you have to ask yourself, am I in a place where I am at peace? David realized that as sheep needed guidance, he needed guidance as well. He did not have the power or the ability to lead himself, so he reached out for help. And there are times where we have to reach out for help and say, God, I need your help. I can't do this on my own. I've been trying. I've done enough. I need to be replenished. I need to be refueled. And here is where we can share a few steps with you to get you to that place of stillness, that place of serenity, that place of calmness, that place where your mind is at ease. One, it starts with self-love. The more we love ourselves, the greater our peace of mind. We can accept ourselves for who we are and where we are, regardless of how other people think about us, regardless of how they feel about us, because the first experience we have with love is with ourselves. And I know I want to challenge all of your theology. I want to challenge all of your philosophy. I want to challenge all of your psychology. If you don't feel like you need to first love yourselves. The truth is, for you to love others, you first have to love you. Jesus talked about the great commandments. And he said, first you have to love God. Then he said, the next commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself. So for you to effectively love your neighbor, you have to first love yourself. For you to treat people better, you have to treat yourself good. When it comes to marriage, the Apostle Paul gave the example that a man must first love himself, love his spouse as he loves his own body. If you don't love yourself, it's impossible for you to love others. So first, it starts with that inner love. Our inner peace becomes a state of being that we dwell in when we can love ourselves. I'm not talking about a narcissistic kind of love where you're obsessed with yourself, where you think you're always right, where your ego is on display. I'm talking about taking the time to say, I love me for me, regardless of how people feel about me, regardless of what they say about me. I love me. Second thing we have to do, we have to monitor our thoughts. Our thoughts can make or break the quality of life that we experience. We have to make sure that we choose a way of thinking that works for us. Talk to yourself. We have to have that conversation with ourselves, just as we're talking with a friend. What advice do you give to your friends when they're down? What advice do you give to people when they're in need? Do you encourage them or do you push them down further? You find out that you tend to encourage people, but what about yourself? You have to encourage yourself and not put yourself down. So we have to monitor our thoughts, making sure that our thoughts are building us up and not tearing us down. 3, we have to resist guilt. Guilt is a negative emotion that removes peace of mind. Although it can motivate us at some times where we get passionate and we want to make the wrong right because we feel guilty, it's still a very toxic emotion. Challenge the reason for your guilt to make sure that you're not placing unnecessary pressure on yourself. People will try to pressure you. People will try to make you feel guilty. But at the end of the day, you have the choice to resist that guilt. 4, don't compare. Forget what everyone else is doing or saying. What do you want? We all have our own paths to follow, and we are all learning and going through life at our own unique pace. What other people may be experiencing in their timing, it may not be your timing. The thing about harvest is that different people experience harvest at different times in their lives. Sometimes it's just their season. And if it's not your season, don't get discouraged. Don't feel like you're getting left behind. Don't feel like things are happening for everyone else but you. It's hard to run among people when they're having success and you feel like you're still struggling. The circle you're in, the circle of influence that you're in, people are having growth and they're seeing things happen and you feel like you're left behind. But don't compare to yourself. You just have to be patient, stay focused on your journey, and lose the stress of comparing yourself to what other people may want you to do. You have to be you, and you have to be sure to eliminate that comparison and be unique. Embrace your uniqueness. This is how you are. This is who you are. You're not like everyone else. You are unique. 5, we talk about affirmations, where we talk to ourselves positively. We use examples to encourage a peace of mind by telling ourselves verbally. This is a verbal mind-to-mouth connection, or mouth-to-mind connection, where you say out of your mouth, it connects with your mind, and it begins to create a state of peace. No matter what comes your way, you have to tell yourself that you can survive it, that you can go through it, you can make it through the challenges of life. 6, deep breathing. When you focus on breathing, your mind's attention is drawn to the life-enhancing process of drawing in air and exhaling. Take 5 long, deep breaths and focus on your lungs and diaphragm as you do this. This is a quick and easy way to feel instantly calm. I just did it, and you can do it. Let's do it together. Let's take 5 deep breaths. That releases stress. It releases tension. It brings into a state of peacefulness, a state of calmness. Practice deep breathing. When you feel overwhelmed, when you feel stressed, before you go to that meeting, before you take that class, before you talk to that person, practice deep breathing. 7, sometimes you have to go for a walk. Walking away sometimes don't seem logical. It seems as if you're avoiding conflict. But getting that breath of fresh air where you can breathe in and breathe out goes back to breathing. The world that you're around, you're able to observe the peacefulness of nature. You're able to get the blood moving in your body as you go for a walk. You experience the warmth of the sun. You observe the smell of your environment. You're able to see things and look at things and see nature and how it flows in harmony. So sometimes you have to take a walk. I go for nature walks, just looking at the trees, hearing the birds, seeing the flowers. It's calming. It brings me to a state of peace. 8. Slow down. Why does everything need to be accomplished today? Ask yourself that question. Do I really need to get everything done today? What can I move around? How can I prioritize things differently? Sometimes we place such unrealistic pressure on ourselves to get things done within a time frame where we hold ourselves prisoners to dates and to times when we can control how flexible we are and move things around. Challenge your impatience. Be more mindful to take a step back and enjoy life. Enjoy the simple things in life. It's not always about a schedule. Sometimes you have to go off schedule just to slow down and smell the coffee, as they say. Smell the flowers. We have to be mindful that life will continue to go on, but we have to slow down. 9, get enough sleep. We are so agitated. We're so irritated. We're so grumpy when we don't get enough sleep. It affects our peacefulness. It affects our attitude. It affects how we function. We need to get about 8 hours worth of sleep to be able to function effectively, to be in a place where we feel like we've achieved and we've accomplished some things. We have to be true to ourselves and step away from everything that's distracting us from getting enough sleep. 10, we have to make sure that we're constantly calibrating where we are. This is the final piece. We have to measure where we are. We have to monitor where we are. And we have to make sure that we're true to ourselves and ask ourselves a question: am I at peace? We don't want the false sense of peace where it's temporary, where it's here today and it's gone tomorrow. We have to get refueled. We have to get replenished. We have to take steps to make sure that we're in that state of peacefulness, that state where we're calm, we're at ease. The pressures of life are not weighing us down. We feel like we can achieve our goals, we can achieve our dreams because we have the fuel that we need. We're fully fueled to take the journey. I want you to feel fueled. I want you to feel replenished. I want you to feel energized to continue on your journey to greatness, to reach your destination. We have to make sure we're striving for peacefulness and getting to that place where we're embracing the mindset of being by still waters. Find your still waters. You may get it through prayer, through meditation, through affirmation, through reflection. However you choose to get there, if you need help, know that God is able to help you. He is the great shepherd. We are his sheep. And when we are in trouble, he's able to lead us beside the still waters. I hope this encourages you. You feel blessed, you feel motivated and inspired to make it through the week. Have a great day and strive for serenity.